What happens when a police chief's son thinks he's above the law and assaults a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran in broad daylight? This arrogant man walked into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom believing his father's badge would protect him from any consequences. But when Judge Caprio made his father choose between his son and justice, what happened next became the most talked about moment in Providence courtroom history. The defendant stood there smirking as he told Judge Caprio, "My dad runs this town. You can't touch me, old man." The entire courtroom fell silent. But what nobody knew was that Police Chief Thomas Cole was sitting in the back of that courtroom, watching his son destroy everything he'd spent 35 years building. And the decision he was about to make would break hearts, restore faith in justice, and prove that some fathers love their principles more than protecting their children's mistakes. Before we dive into this incredible story, less than 5% of you watching are actually subscribed. If you believe in real justice, in honoring our veterans, and in holding the powerful accountable, hit that subscribe button right now. This story is going to spread everywhere, and you don't want to miss what happens next. It's a cold November morning in Providence Municipal Court, and Judge Frank Caprio is preparing for what seems like a routine assault case. At 76 years old, Judge Caprio has seen thousands of cases, but something about this one feels different. The victim is a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran named Robert Martinez. The defendant is 32-year-old Derek Cole, son of Providence Police Chief Thomas Cole. The case file tells a disturbing story. 3 days ago, Robert Martinez was walking his dog in Roger Williams Park when Derek Cole, driving his BMW at excessive speed, nearly hit him. When Martinez raised his hand to signal Derek to slow down, Derek stopped his car, got out, and confronted the elderly veteran. According to 3 separate witnesses, Derek shoved Martinez to the ground, causing him to hit his head on the pavement. When bystanders tried to intervene, Derek allegedly said, "Do you know who I am? My father is the police chief. Call the cops, I dare you." Then he drove away, leaving the 70-year-old veteran bleeding on the ground. Martinez suffered a concussion, 3 broken ribs, and a fractured wrist. He spent 2 nights in Rhode Island Hospital. The incident was captured on a nearby security camera, and when the footage went viral on local news, the entire city of Providence demanded justice. The courtroom is packed this morning. Local reporters, concerned citizens, veteran advocacy groups, and court watchers who follow Judge Caprio's cases have all shown up. There's an energy in the room, a sense that something significant is about to happen. But here's what nobody in that courtroom knows yet. Police Chief Thomas Cole is sitting in the back row wearing civilian clothes, his badge tucked away. He hasn't told his son he's here, and the reason he came will shock everyone. At exactly 10:30 a.m., the BAIF calls the case. The state of Rhode Island versus Derek Michael Cole, charged with assault and battery on an elderly person. Derek Cole walks in like he owns the place. He's wearing an expensive suit, designer watch glinting under the courtroom lights, and that smirk, that arrogant smirk that makes everyone in the gallery immediately dislike him. He doesn't look remorseful. He doesn't look concerned. He looks annoyed that he has to be here at all. Behind him enters his attorney, Marcus Richardson, one of Providence's most expensive defense lawyers, the kind who specializes in getting wealthy clients out of trouble. But here's the moment that catches everyone's attention. When Derek passes the row where Robert Martinez is sitting, wearing his Vietnam veteran cap and supporting his broken wrist in a cast, Derek doesn't even glance at him. No acknowledgement, no remorse, nothing. Judge Caprio looks up from his paperwork, and those kind eyes that have shown compassion to thousands suddenly turn ice cold. He's already read the case file. He's already seen the security footage, and he's already made up his mind that this young man is going to learn a lesson today. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio begins, his voice measured but firm, "you're charged with assault and battery on an elderly person, specifically on Mr. Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. How do you plead?" Derek's attorney stands up quickly. "Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty. We believe this is a case of mistaken identity." And Judge Caprio holds up his hand. "Counselor, I asked your client, not you. Mr. Cole, do you have a voice?" Derek stands up, and this is where his arrogance really shows. He adjusts his suit jacket, looks directly at Judge Caprio with that smirk still on his face, and says, "Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is ridiculous." The word ridiculous hangs in the air like a slap. Judge Caprio slowly removes his glasses, his signature move when he's about to deliver a reality check. "Ridiculous," Judge Caprio repeats. "Mr. Cole, I've reviewed the security footage, I've read the hospital reports, I've seen the photographs of Mr. Martinez's injuries. Would you like to reconsider your characterization of this case as ridiculous?" Derek glances at his lawyer, who's frantically trying to signal him to stay quiet, but Derek's ego won't let him back down. "Your Honor, with all due respect," Derek says, and everyone in the courtroom knows that when someone starts with With all due respect, disrespect is about to follow. This is being blown out of proportion. Some old guy got in my way, I barely touched him, and now I'm being dragged into court like a criminal. The gallery gasps. Did he just call a Vietnam veteran some old guy? Did he just say he barely touched him when the man spent 2 nights in the hospital? Judge Caprio sets down his glasses very carefully. His jaw tightens. For anyone who watches Caught in Providence, they know this look. This is Judge Caprio when his compassion has reached its limit and justice is about to be served. Mr. Cole, Judge Caprio says, his voice still calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority. Before we proceed, I want to understand something. Do you know who Mr. Martinez is? Derek shrugs. Some guy who was in my way. The disrespect is palpable. Robert Martinez, sitting in the gallery, shows no reaction. He sits with the quiet dignity that comes from a lifetime of service and sacrifice, but his fellow veterans in the courtroom are visibly angry. Judge Caprio stands up from his bench and walks around to the front. This is rare. This means something big is about to happen. Mr. Martinez, Judge Caprio says, looking directly at the elderly veteran, would you please stand and tell Mr. Cole who you are? Robert Martinez slowly stands, supporting himself with his good arm. Your Honor, my name is Robert Martinez. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1968 to 1971. I did 2 tours in Vietnam. I was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for valor. I'm a retired Providence firefighter. I've lived in this city for 50 years. And 3 days ago, this man, he gestures toward Derek without looking at him, assaulted me for no reason other than I asked him to slow down in a public park. The courtroom is absolutely silent. Judge Caprio nods respectfully to Martinez, who sits back down. Now Judge Caprio turns back to Derek. Mr. Cole, do you understand what you just heard? You assaulted a decorated combat veteran, a man who risked his life for this country, a man who spent 30 years running into burning buildings to save people. And you called him some old guy who got in your way. Derek's smirk is starting to fade, but his arrogance hasn't. Your Honor, I didn't know he was a veteran. How was I supposed to know? Judge Caprio's response is immediate and devastating. Mr. Cole, it shouldn't matter if he's a veteran or not. Assault is assault, but the fact that you think it would only matter if you knew his service record tells me everything I need to know about your character. But guys, before I tell you what Judge Caprio does next, I need you to do something. In the comments below, tell me, have you or someone you love ever been disrespected because of their age? Have you seen young people treat elders with contempt? Share your story, because this is about more than one case. This is about respect, dignity, and how we treat the people who came before us. Derek's attorney jumps in, trying to control the damage. Your Honor, my client is young and made a poor choice of words, but the evidence will show. Evidence? Judge Caprio interrupts. Counselor, I've seen the evidence. In fact, let's watch it together. He signals to the court clerk, who starts playing the security camera footage on the courtroom monitor. Everyone watches in silence as the video shows exactly what happened. Derek's BMW speeding through the park, nearly hitting Martinez, the veteran raising his hand, Derek slamming on his brakes, getting out of his car, and violently shoving the 70-year-old man to the ground. The footage is clear. The assault is undeniable. And Derek's actions afterwards, standing over Martinez, pointing at him while shouting, then casually getting back in his car and driving away. It's damning. When the video ends, Judge Caprio looks at Derek. Still think this is ridiculous, Mr. Cole? Derek's face has gone pale, his lawyers whispering urgently in his ear. But Derek's ego, that toxic combination of privilege and arrogance, won't let him back down completely. Your Honor, Derek says, his voice slightly shaky now. I was having a bad day. I'd just gotten some bad news. I wasn't thinking clearly. Judge Caprio's eyes narrow. A bad day, Mr. Cole. I've been on this bench for over 30 years. I've seen people who lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their children come before me. You know what they don't do? Assault elderly veterans because they're having a bad day. The judge walks closer to Derek, eliminating the physical distance between them. Let me tell you what I think happened, Mr. Cole. I think you've spent your entire life believing you're special. I think your father's position as police chief has shielded you from consequences. I think you've never been held accountable for your actions, and I think you walked into my courtroom today expecting that pattern to continue. Derek tries to interrupt, but Judge Caprio holds up his hand. I'm not finished. You see, Mr. Cole, I've dealt with people like you before. People who think their last name, their father's position, their family's money makes them untouchable. But here's what you're about to learn. In my courtroom, none of that matters. What matters is the law. What matters is justice. What matters is treating every human being with dignity and respect. Now, here's where the story takes the turn that nobody sees coming. Judge Caprio pauses, looks toward the back of the courtroom, and says something that makes Derek's blood run cold. Chief Cole, Judge Caprio calls out, would you please come forward? The entire courtroom turns around. Sitting in the back row, standing up slowly, is Police Chief Thomas Cole. He's been there the whole time. He heard everything his son said. He watched his son show no remorse, and the look on his face, it's not anger, it's heartbreak. Derek spins around, and for the first time since entering the courtroom, his arrogance completely shatters. Dad, what are you doing here? Chief Cole walks down the center aisle, each step heavy with the weight of 35 years in law enforcement. He's in his late 50s, gray at the temples, wearing a simple button-down shirt and slacks. No uniform, no badge, just a father watching his son destroy everything he taught him. Judge Caprio addresses the chief with genuine respect. Chief Cole, thank you for being here. I know this must be incredibly difficult. Chief Cole stands at attention, his police training evident in his posture. Your Honor, I appreciate you allowing me to be present. Derek is panicking now. His lawyer looks confused. The gallery is on the edge of their seats. What is happening? Judge Caprio continues. Chief, your son seems to believe that your position will protect him from the consequences of his actions. He's implied multiple times that because you run law enforcement in this city, he's somehow above accountability. I'd like to give you an opportunity to address that belief. The courtroom holds its collective breath. This is the moment a father has to choose between protecting his son and upholding the principles he's dedicated his life to. Chief Cole takes a deep breath. His voice when he speaks is steady but filled with emotion. Your Honor, my son is wrong. He has always been wrong about that. I've spent 35 years serving this city. I've arrested drug dealers, murderers, corrupt officials. I've put my life on the line to protect the innocent and uphold the law. And not once, not one single time have I ever believed that my badge gave me or my family the right to break those same laws. Derek tries to speak. Dad, The chief holds up his hand, and the authority in that gesture silences his son immediately. Derek, be quiet. You've said enough. He turns back to Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I watched the security footage the day after the incident. I saw what my son did to Mr. Martinez. I've read the hospital reports. I know exactly what happened. And I'm here today not as Police Chief Cole, but as Thomas Cole, a father who failed to teach his son the most important lessons: respect, humility, and accountability. The chief's voice cracks slightly. I thought I taught him right from wrong. I thought I showed him what it means to serve others, to protect the vulnerable, to treat everyone with dignity, regardless of their station in life, but somewhere along the way I failed, and that failure, he gestures toward his son. That failure is standing right here. Derek's face crumbles. For the first time, tears well up in his eyes. Dad, please. Chief Cole turns to his son, and what he says next will be remembered in Providence legal history forever. Derek, I love you. You're my son, and that will never change. But love doesn't mean protecting you from the consequences of your actions. Love means holding you accountable so you can become the man you're supposed to be. He looks back at Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I'm here to tell you in this court that whatever sentence you deem appropriate, you have my full support. My son assaulted a decorated veteran. He showed no remorse. He disrespected this court, and he disrespected everything I've spent my life standing for. He deserves to face the full weight of the law, and I will not interfere. In fact, if I could, I would ask you to be even more severe than you normally would be, because he needs to learn this lesson now before he hurts someone else. The courtroom erupts and whispers. This is unprecedented. A police chief in open court asking a judge to throw the book at his own son. Derek is openly crying now. Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Chief Cole's voice becomes firm. Derek, do you know what I did yesterday? I visited Mr. Martinez in his home. I apologized to him on your behalf, even though I know that doesn't undo what you did. I looked him in the eye and told him that my son's actions don't represent the values of this police department or this family. And do you know what he said to me? Derek shakes his head, tears streaming down his face. He said, Chief, your son needs help, not protection, help. And he's right. You don't need me to bail you out. You need to face what you've done and change. Judge Caprio has been listening to all of this with deep emotion visible on his face. Now he speaks, and his voice carries the wisdom of 3 decades on the bench. Chief Cole, Judge Caprio says, I want to thank you for your courage today. What you've done standing here and putting justice above your natural instinct to protect your child. That takes more strength than most people will ever understand. He looks at Derek. Mr. Cole, do you understand what just happened here? Your father, a man who could have used his influence to make this go away, instead chose to uphold the law. He chose to honor Mr. Martinez. He chose to honor the badge he's worn for 35 years. That is what integrity looks like. Derek can barely speak through his tears. Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I was wrong about everything. Judge Caprio nods. That's the first honest thing you've said since you walked into this courtroom, but sorry isn't enough, Mr. Cole. Actions have consequences. And guys, what Judge Caprio says next proves why he's beloved by millions around the world. He doesn't just punish, he transforms. He doesn't just enforce the law, he changes hearts. Subscribe right now if you believe in this kind of justice, because what comes next is a masterclass in accountability, redemption, and second chances. Derek Michael Cole, Judge Caprio announces, his voice formal now. I find you guilty of assault and battery on an elderly person. This is a serious crime made more serious by your complete lack of remorse when you first appeared before me. He pauses, letting the weight sink in. Here is your sentence. You will serve 90 days in the Providence County Correctional Facility. You will complete 200 hours of community service, specifically working with elderly veterans at the VA hospital. You will attend anger management counseling for 1 year, and you will write a formal letter of apology to Mr. Martinez to be read in this courtroom, followed by a face-to-face meeting where you will apologize to him personally. Derek nods, accepting each part of the sentence. Yes, Your Honor, but I'm not finished, Judge Caprio continues. You will also create a video apology that will be posted on the Providence Police Department's social media accounts where you will explain what you did, why it was wrong, and what you're doing to make amends. Your father has agreed to this because sunshine is the best disinfectant for arrogance. Furthermore, Judge Caprio says after you complete your sentence, you will speak to the Providence Police Academy recruits about privilege, accountability, and what happens when you believe you're above the law. Your father will arrange this. You will share your story not to humiliate you, but to prevent other young people from making the same mistakes. The sentence is severe but purposeful, every element designed not just to punish but to transform. Chief Cole speaks up. Your Honor, I want to add something if I may. Derek will also be moving out of my house. He's 32 years old. He's been living under my roof, under my protection, under my name. That ends today. He needs to learn to stand on his own, support himself, and understand that privilege is earned, not inherited. Derek looks at his father with devastation. Dad, it's time. Son, the chief says, his voice breaking, it's time for you to grow up. Judge Caprio turns to Robert Martinez. Mr. Martinez, do you have anything you'd like to say? The 70-year-old veteran stands slowly, supported by his good arm. Your Honor, I don't want revenge. I just want this young man to understand that every person he meets deserves respect, age, rank, position, none of that matters. We're all human beings trying to live our lives with dignity. If he learns that lesson, then this whole experience will have been worth it. The grace in those words silences the entire courtroom. Here is a man who was assaulted, hospitalized, and disrespected, offering forgiveness and wisdom instead of anger. Judge Caprio addresses Derek one final time. Mr. Cole, you heard Mr. Martinez. A man you assaulted is showing you more grace than you deserve. I suggest you spend your time in custody thinking about that, thinking about the kind of man you want to be, thinking about whether you want to continue being the person who walked into this courtroom today or if you want to become someone your father can be proud of. Court is adjourned. The gavel comes down. As officers approach to take Derek into custody, Chief Cole walks over to his son. They stand face to face for a long moment. Then the chief does something that breaks everyone's heart. He hugs his son tightly. I love you, the chief whispers loud enough for nearby people to hear. But I love you enough to let you face this. You'll get through it, and when you do, you'll be better. You'll be the man I know you can be. Derek sobs into his father's shoulder. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know, son. Now prove it. The officers lead Derek away. Chief Cole stands there watching his son disappear through the courtroom doors, tears streaming down his face. This is what real love looks like. Not protection from consequences, but support through them. Judge Caprio approaches Chief Cole and extends his hand. The two men shake, a moment of mutual respect between two men who've dedicated their lives to service. You did the right thing, Judge Caprio says quietly. Chief Cole nods. Doesn't make it hurt any less. No, the judge agrees, but it makes it worth it. Before the courtroom empties, Judge Caprio makes one more announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, what you witnessed here today is not just about one case, it's about the choice we all face when someone we love does wrong. Do we enable them, protect them, make excuses for them, or do we love them enough to hold them accountable? He looks around the courtroom. Chief Cole could have used his influence to make this go away. Instead, he chose justice. He chose Mr. Martinez. He chose the values he spent his life upholding. That is courage. That is integrity. That is what real leadership looks like. The courtroom erupts in applause. People are crying. Veterans are saluting Chief Cole. Robert Martinez walks over to the chief and extends his good hand. Chief Martinez says, "Your son is lucky to have a father like you." The chief shakes his hand, overcome with emotion. Mr. Martinez, I'm sorry for what he did to you. He'll learn, Martinez says. And when he does, he'll make you proud. I can see it already. 6 months later, Derek Cole walked out of the Providence County Correctional Facility. A different man. He had lost weight, gained humility, and found purpose. His 200 hours at the VA hospital had turned into volunteer work that continued long after his sentence was complete. He apologized to Robert Martinez in a meeting that both men described as healing. Martinez became a mentor to Derek, teaching him about service, sacrifice, and the true meaning of strength. Derek's video apology went viral, viewed over 3 million times. Young people across the country saw what accountability looks like. They saw what happens when privilege meets justice. They saw what real transformation requires. Chief Cole attended every one of Derek's anger management sessions, not because he had to, but because he wanted to support his son's genuine change. Their relationship, broken by that day in court, slowly rebuilt on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect. And Derek Cole, the arrogant man who once said, "My dad runs this town," now works as an advocate for veteran services, using his story to teach others about privilege, accountability, and redemption. Judge Frank Caprio's decision that day didn't just deliver justice. It saved a life, healed a family, and proved that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to protect someone from the consequences they need to face. If this story moved you, if you believe in this kind of justice, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video if you honor our veterans and respect the courage it takes to choose justice over comfort. Subscribe for more incredible stories that prove compassion and accountability can coexist. And remember Judge Caprio's words, real love isn't protecting people from consequences, it's supporting them through the consequences they need to become better. That's the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio, that's the courage of Chief Thomas Cole, and that's the grace of Robert Martinez. Justice served, lessons learned. Comment.